Thank you for listening to this bonus episode of World Cinema History. For more content like this, join our DVD Extras Club at ko-fi.com/World Cinema History. This week's bonus episode centers on Dr. Ernesto Todd Mireles' War of the Flea, Fight for Xicano Studies, a documentary film detailing the story of Chicano students who fought for a Xicano/Latino Studies program at Michigan State University. Dr. Mireles holds a PhD in American Studies from Michigan State University. He is the author of the book Insurgent Aztlán, The Liberating Power of Cultural Resistance, which won a 2020 International Latino Book Award. He has served as faculty in the Ethnic Studies Department at Northern Arizona University and co-director of the Social Justice and Community Organizing Master's Program at Prescott College. On a side note, he was also my editor-in-chief at a community college newspaper called The Lookout in 1991, when I served as the arts and leisure editor there, so many years ago. Here's Dr. Ernesto Todd Mireles.
So War of the Flea is a documentary which I directed. It is about the fight at Michigan State University in the 1990s for a Chicano Studies program. During the 1990s, unlike now at Michigan State, a good number of the students who were attending were actually from Michigan. And there wasn't really a huge push to recruit out-of-state students like there has been over the last 30 years or so. I think the thing that really makes this particular documentary work in terms of documenting the struggle for Chicano Studies is that it also documents the struggle of the local Chicano community in Lansing, because there was a lot of overlap between the students and the community. There were a number of what I would call watershed moments that took place in the 1990s. I mean, in order to get a bigger or better, deeper understanding of how they impacted really the whole community, not just the Chicano community, but the whole community. There was the reversal of the Cesar Chavez Street, where it was changed from Grand Avenue to Cesar Chavez Avenue. And then by a vote of the people, it was changed back to Grand Avenue after a very long and protracted campaign that was orchestrated by a local radio DJ whose name is Tim Barron. Q106 was the radio station they worked for. They had the #1 radio station. From about the end of 1993 to about 1995, when this was going on. The thing specifically around Q106 and Cesar Chavez, they kind of happened together, which was, I think, part of the issue. Well, they certainly exacerbated each other. There's no question about it. Tim Barron had run this very racist so-called comedy skit, which denoted Mexicans as slaves, like lice-infested slaves, and that the station would be raffling them off, to do labor, and that if they didn't do it, you would have them deported, right? It's the same old joke. It's real funny. During my doctoral work at Michigan State, I was really focusing on resistance and liberation movements around the world, specifically looking at the literature that's produced by those movements, which is a genre all to itself. It's called resistance literature. And one of the books that I read as a result of this was by this man named Robert Tabor, and it was called War of the Flea, a study of guerrilla warfare, theory, and practice. The story that he kind of opens this book with, this old parable about how the flea can't defeat the dog, but the flea can drive the dog crazy. And so what Tabor was saying is that this is a very good sort of metaphor for what guerrillas or insurgents, what their goal is. Their goal is to drive the dog crazy. And so, as I was thinking about that, I was really thinking about also, too, the struggle that was waged in the 1990s, which I was a part of. And really, we were never going to defeat the university, whatever that would look like or whatever that would mean. But we could drive the university crazy. And I think that we did a very good job of that. One of the things that I have learned over the years as I have helped build programs, academic programs around organizing and, different types of resistance, and still continuing in that vein to this day. In doing a very in-depth study of student movements, is that 99% of all student movements fail. I mean, mostly 99% of all student movements collapse because students graduate and they move on. The difference, I think, of what happened here is that the students were from the area, right? And so even as they graduated or flunked out, as some of us did, they were able to remain invested in the struggle for Chicano Studies. So the movie starts with the police murder of this young man named Cipriano Torres Jr. that took place late in 1991, 92. He was gunned down outside of the Motel 6 that was there on the corner of Washington and 496. 33 shots. 26 in the front and a shotgun blast in the back and a couple of other things. It had a profound impact. A lot of people found their activist moment, right, at that time. A lot of the people that became major players in the Mecha movement in the 1990s began at Lansing Community College, organizing and protesting, to the extent that we understood what we were doing at that moment, around the death of Cipriano Torres. As the movie sort of moves forward, one of the things, that we realize is that there is no justice for Cipriano Torres Jr. And there never will be justice. This movie might be the only justice for him in the sense that it articulates and it bears witness to his death and to the rather satisfactory outcome of that death, in the sense that an entire movement was spawned from this. So, we begin to move through the 1990s. We're featuring mostly students, people who were students at the time. I can tell you that I interviewed over 30 people for this documentary. I was not able to use them all, but I used as many as I could. One of the reasons that I did that is, as I was putting this film together as my first, I was very unsure about a lot of things. But mostly what I was unsure of was sort of the aesthetic of the film, like how I wanted to this story to be portrayed. Because this is a very important story to me. It's a major part of my life, and it, in a lot of ways, continues to be a major part of my life. Although I've gotten therapy, and so I've learned to deal with the trauma of it. But most of the people that I talked to who were film directors themselves, their advice was, you have to make this movie about yourself, and it has to be some sort of like journey of knowledge, or else nobody's going to want to watch it. I decided that I was not going to hold back, right? That this was a story that had to be told in the manner that it happened, and that it happened with grit, and it happened with determination, and that it happened with heart, right? These people that are my friends and that have been my friends all these years, they are fucking fighters, right? I saw some shit go down. I was just like, that changed me, man. It changed me in my heart, like who I am and what I believe in. There were moments, right? Like when I'll tell you this one story. They talk about it briefly in the movie, but we don't really dwell on it. It was early in the 90s, and we were trying to get the university to join the United Farm Workers Grape Boycott, and we had been sending boxes of grapes all day long to the president of the university's office, and there was always a note inside the box: these grapes are watered with the blood of migrant children, or that kind of thing, which I still think was incredibly effective. The other piece I think that was important about that day is that Dolores Huerta was there with us. Dolores Huerta is one of the co-founders of the United Farm Workers, the union that called the the boycott. She and Cesar Chavez are two of the people that are credited with that movement or beginning it. They're not the only two, but they get the most credit for it. So very famous woman, very important in the Chicano community. I mean, like, she's, legit famous. And is the kind of person who inspires by her presence. I think inspires boldness by her presence, because she has herself lived a life of boldness. We're all outside walking around. It's February in Michigan. It was cold as fuck. And somebody was like, we should go upstairs and talk to McPherson. And so everybody just was like, yeah. And I mean, we just walked up those 3 flights of stairs and we took over the office where his office was at. And we demanded to speak to him. And at first he wouldn't come out. But then finally, when he realized that we weren't going to leave, instead of calling the police, he came out and said, I'll talk to you guys, but we got to go next door to the Board of Trustees room. And so the Board of Trustees room is a big room. I don't know if you've ever been in it. But at the time it was set up like a big a rectangle, and it had a table in the middle of it that was probably 50 feet long. I mean, it was a big table. A lot of people sat around it. So we go in there and we start having this big long meeting with McPherson. Everybody's taking turns. Dolores is there. All these other people are there. Tom Izzo's father-in-law is there. Efren Marinas, right? The Marinas family is a long time. They're like one of the first Mexican families in the Lansing, East Lansing area. McPherson starts talking. Everybody's going around, and there's actually footage of this meeting in the documentary. Somebody recorded it, and so you get a little taste of what it was like right at that moment. And he starts saying something about reservations and manifest destiny and all this other kind of stuff. And that's when Tony Spangler, he just has this bag of grapes, right? And he just stands up, just stands up, and he takes this bag of grapes and he just fucking slams it on the table. And then there were these, and then people started to move. You ever been in a room where people start to move? There's 100 people in this room, right? And this is really early on. And Tony slams that bag of grapes on the table. And then these other women that are there, they reach over and they grab that bag and they rip it open and they start throwing grapes at Peter McPherson, right? Like straight in his face, dude. And then the room really starts to buzz, right? People are moving. Chairs are getting tipped over. It's getting loud in there. I'm shocked because I was talking to McPherson and I looked at him, and all of a sudden he looked past me and he went, "You get down from there." And I turn around and there's this young Chicana on top of the table fucking stomping grapes. She was on top of the Board of Trustees table, the sanctorium of Michigan State University. Chairs are getting tipped over, grapes are flying, people are yelling and screaming. McPherson's yelling, "You get down from there." I mean, it was fucking pandemonium, man. And you know what? There was like a very weird sense of freedom, that it just sort of envelops you. One of the things that we began to realize was that the only thing that was holding us back was our own sense of propriety. What was expected of us, what other people considered decorum, and what was considered undecorous, I guess. I don't know if that's actually the word or not. It's anti-decorum. You have this absolute moment of pandemonium, right? That is a snapshot into what it means to be, what successful defiance looks like. Because that was a moment of successful defiance. It took me 6 years to put this together. Like I said, I interviewed over 30 people. I taught myself how to edit. I taught myself how to write a screenplay. It was a grounds up type thing. I had a lot of help from a lot of different people. I estimate it probably cost me about $50,000 to put this whole thing together, which I realize now is a fucking shoestring. But it got done. I think that the final scenes of this documentary are extremely important, particularly for the times that we live in now. The necessity of out-of-the-box thinking and organizing as we confront evolving fascist system in the United States. So I do a podcast, not as regularly as I should, but I do one. I've been doing it since about 2019. It's called The Reality Dysfunction, which I think is a brilliant title, not one that I made up. I got it from a science fiction book, but I think it's very appropriate for the world that we live in. We are in a reality dysfunction. So if you look up Reality Dysfunction Podcast, you'll be able to check out some of the things that we're doing there. I'm about to do a Midwest tour with the movie. I have showings set up in Lansing, Ypsilanti, working on Detroit, South Bend, Chicago, and Milwaukee, and then we'll end in Denver, Colorado on October 13th. Nowhere warm. No. Nah.
Well, button up.
Going back to the homeland, brother. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
We're taking it right back to the Midwest.
You wouldn't catch me there again, except for a wedding or a funeral. I don't miss the snow. I'm in the Florida-Georgia border right now. It was 92 degrees today. I was wearing Reebok flip-flops on Christmas. You can't drag me away from this place.
I don't miss the snow either. I don't miss it either. I thought I would.
Let me just finish this off with one story, and then I'll let you get on with your life. When Todd Mireles became the editor-in-chief of our local Lansing Community College newspaper, he was inspired by one thing, and that was the newspaper, The Village Voice. And he wanted to make that little paper The Village Voice. And I may have been the only one, I don't know. But I saw the vision. I saw it was a smaller than normal newspaper, but if you flatten it out, it looked just magazine style, just like a Village Voice. And so if he was going to turn it into the Village Voice, I decided I was going to turn into Andrew Saris. I was a filmmaking student, had absolutely not one notion of being a writer, and yet I somehow became a professional one, all because I went to work for Ernesto Todd Mireles, and all because of his vision. One more quick story. That same year, the team that Ernesto Dr. Mireles put together, Todd as we used to call him, wasn't it pretty much every single award you could win at the...
Yep.
Yeah.
We did. We won a national pacemaker. One of 4 given out in the country.
I was still drunk when I got mine.
Yeah.
We had a couple of beers, because, what happens in, I don't even remember what town it was, but stays there. But we'd had a couple of beers. We went out to the bar. We came back to our hotel. There were beer cans all around, and the police came, and even though we had just gotten back 3 minutes later, kicked us out for a noise violation, which was physically impossible because we weren't there. And so we ended up spending the night on somebody else's floor. All went in unshowered.
Yeah.
Wearing the same clothes we had been out drinking and sweating in all night, and went and cleaned up every single award. Yep. But one more quick story that I'll always remember, because I nearly died that night. You remember this story, don't you?
I can think of several times when death was imminent.
I maybe weighed 130 pounds soaking wet. Ernesto, were you over 300 at that point? I don't remember. No.
No, I was still at 200.
I exaggerate ever so slightly. And And then the good doctor challenged me to a chicken wing eating contest. And
I think that was also the first time I smoked a cigarette.
That was, yes, and you got a huge nicotine buzz and you turn green.
Yeah.
Oh well, you didn't call it a buzz. You called it sick to my stomach. But yeah, and I won. I beat this man who was two meat.
Yeah.
But a piece of cartilage didn't quite stay on the bone and ended up in my throat. And our managing editor, who, for the sake of the innocent, I will not name, had to save my life by hitting me very hard on the back. But I actually take more pride in having beaten you in that chicken wing eating contest than I did in the 3 awards I won that day.
The cheating of death.
All of it.
Victory is sweet, my friend.
I was one of these. I if it was windy, I would fall over. I was so frail.
Yeah,
and
you were.
I beat this pig.
Yeah. You were a fucking rail. There's no question about that. You were a skinny ass white boy for sure.
And I ended up drinking you under the table, but we were both so gone. I think I was home and I was still like kind of like, you know.
Yeah. It's one of the reasons I stopped drinking. Yeah.
A decade later.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it took a while, but then I was just like, yeah, this isn't good. But yeah, those were good nights, man. That was a lot of fun. And those people that we worked with were geniuses themselves, man. It's been one of the...
You put a team together.
Well, it has been one of, I think, the real honors of my life, man, is to be surrounded by competent, intelligent people. You know, it's just the truth.
Because I was simply looking for some kind of external credit to get into a university because my grades were so bad. I needed to have something extracurricular. Huh. So where you guys would spend 40, 50 hours a week, I spent the whatever we were getting paid for, 14 hours or whatever, and you know, I was the union guy. My time is done. I'm going home.
You delivered, Trumpeter. It was good.
I had, because I ended up writing for Alan Combs' Liberating magazine, you know, and had a bunch of great adventures, and it all started because a guy named Ernesto Todd Mireles said, "Hey, would you like to edit a section of my..." You wanted me to be the news editor, and I was like, "Yeah, fuck that."
Yeah. Yeah, you want arts. Yeah. It was the right job for you, man.
Definitely would not have turned out the man I am had I not had that experience, and I thank you for that.
I appreciate that, Art. I do. I appreciate you saying that. I think that experience also profoundly impacted me. I mean, in unmeasurable ways. Yeah. It was a good year.
I'm so glad we did that instead of going to war and bonding there.
Yes.
Thanks for everything. You were great today.
Hey, thank you too, man. And if you ever want me to come back, just let me know.
Or if you ever want me on your show, just let me know.
I will. All right, brother.
All right.
Talk to you. Okay. Bye.
Talk to you soon. Bye.